So hello and welcome to this particular session of the 21-day Allowing Abundance 21-day challenge. And we're on day number 2. Wanted to share your tasks and some tips so that we can, start to get things really rolling with this concept of allowing abundance. So right now, if you could change one thing in your life right now, what would you change? Have you had some ideas already? Well, have you considered that there's only one thing that you really need to change that would pretty much change everything else? And that is your thinking. It might seem, you might think that sounds too simple and surely my thinking can't control so much. But James Allen wrote in As a Man Thinketh, "Let a person radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life." So that's what we're about here in the Allowing Abundance 21-day challenge. Look, if you happen to be catching this particular video and you're not yet part of the 21-day challenge, then just message us, wherever you happen to be catching it, message us and let's get you included in the next intake. So a lot of the actual tasks and exercises are delivered through DM groups and the like. But here in this video series, we want to share the tasks and some extra insights with you so that whether you just like to read or whether you like to listen and get the extra insights, there's something really for everyone. So powerful quote when you really think about it. I'll just repeat that again. Let a person radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. Now, ladies, there's a lot of ladies joining us. Don't take offense at the turn of this is 1900s language here, and so in much of the material that we have republished, whether it be the As a Man Thinketh book that we've republished, the Science of Getting Rich book as well, we've endeavored to keep the original language of the author, even though it may be considered outdated. And so I'm quoting him there, and so rather than saying his or her or the person or whatever, I think we can all work with that so we can just get the gist of what is meant, what the author meant. So please don't see take any offense in that instance there. But what James Allen also wrote is circumstances may be uncongenial, but they will not long remain so if you but perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. So wow, when you really think about it, your circumstances, if they're currently not as you would have them, if you can just perceive an ideal for you and strive to achieve it, then that's it. Talk about an amazing recipe. And this is what we're talking about here in learning to ask. This first week is the really willingness to actually ask for what we truly, truly want. So what's your ideal? What's your ideal? Can you dream big enough? Do you have a vision big enough to really go and say, this is what ideally I would like? Get it down. That's the first thing. Put it in the back of your notebook in your goals section. So if you do have circumstances that are currently uncongenial, so that's as in not pleasant, they're unsuitable, they're unlikely to be successful, other words for uncongenial. What are they? What are your circumstances? Think about it. What would you change? Now, the challenge is for most of us, we get bogged down into thinking about the uncongenial circumstances rather than the ideal. And this exercise, we really want to help you to change. We want to help you to switch that around. Because the truth is that when you focus on what you don't want and get stuck there, that, you start to sort of get bogged down in that. But the interesting thing is that the message, the unsaid spoken desire that goes out to God, the universe, however you might feel to believe, so it is the opposite of that. So when you have a car that you don't like, and you say, I really hate this car, there's this desire that's within you for a better car. When you get bad services at a restaurant, there's a desire to get better service in the future. When you don't like your home, there's an inside desire. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. So you're actually wishing for the opposite in reality. So that circumstance, that bad manifestation, actually triggered within you a wanting for more, a calling and asking for more. So it actually had a very valuable purpose in your life. And certainly Wallace Wattles, in his book The Science of Getting Rich, he articulates that quite a lot. And I was talking about all those things like car and house and whatever, but it could be your health. A lot of the times people are so focused on the issues, the problems, that they're not focused on what they want. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the tasks here and give you those tasks. But first of all, I just wanted to reference some of what Wallace Wattles was talking about. So when you're putting out those wishes, when you think about it, they've been triggered by the adverse circumstances. And so therefore, the adverse circumstances had value. But what you focus on expands. So you need to use what we call, or you'll want to use, what we call the about face process, where instead of focusing on what you don't want, you learn to focus on what you do want. And it's sort of like, we've shared a concept before of misery soup. Let's imagine that up until now, you're a regular at a restaurant, and every time you go in there, you order misery soup. You order the same old stuff over and over again so that the staff know you, they see you coming, they put the order in, they get you your misery soup as soon as possible. And then suddenly you have a change of mind, you have a change of thoughts, and you say, no, I don't want misery soup anymore, I want happiness salad. Did you let them know that? Because otherwise they just keep bringing you the misery soup. So there's often momentum engaged in that. So it's okay if you change your mind now, things aren't going to change overnight, but you do have to focus on what you want. You have to be able to say, no, I no longer want misery soup, I want happiness salad. So I hope that analogy helps you to understand there. So circumstances may be uncongenial, but they will not long remain so if you can but perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. So, wow, powerful stuff. So, task number 1 is, what are your thoughts on that quote? How does it make you feel? Record your answers in your notebook. Okay, that circumstances may be uncongenial, but they will not long remain so if you but perceive an ideal and strive to achieve it. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on, we've posted that quote with a visual image, love you to share it amongst your communities as well, but leave your thoughts on the open, let's get a bit of commentary going around about everyone's thoughts on that on the open social media posts. So task number 2 is that about face process. So go to your workbook, list down, like draw a line down the page, list down all of the uncongenial circumstances that you'd like to get rid of right now. This is, we say you shouldn't focus on the negative, but this is your opportunity just to go, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. But we're not going to leave it there, because what you focus on expands. So you're going to take that and use the about face process. So you might write down, I don't like that I don't have any money. So great, well, that's what you don't like. What do you want? What is the ideal? Those circumstances may be uncongenial, but they will not long remain so if you can but perceive an ideal and strive to achieve it. Well, I'd like abundance. What does that mean for me? I'd like it to flow. I'd like money to come to me easily. I would like to enjoy what I do. I'd like to contribute. And just get really wrapped up in the positives of what you'd like rather than always focusing on what you don't want. I don't like my car. Great. So you don't like your car. So what sort of car would you like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? Can you imagine yourself driving it? Those sorts of things. Okay. So task number 2 is to use the about face process, list down all of the things that are uncongenial, and then work on what the ideal is. Start to jot down some goals, really get clear on your goals. Put that down in your workbook. Task number 3 is, what will you do to cultivate the habits that will have you more focused on what you want? How can you remind yourself to be more focused on what you want than what you don't want? Because these are habit patterns that we're trying to overcome. And so if you have a habit of being glasses half empty, you don't just suddenly become glasses half full. If you have a habit of noticing lack, you don't just suddenly notice the plenty. Okay, so you have to cultivate that. So what sort of things could you do? Jot down some ideas about what you could do to cultivate being more positive, looking at the good, etc. So sometimes people find it helpful to have friends and family help them here. They say, like, right, I'm doing this challenge. You know, I'd complain all the time. I want you to be a mirror for me. Really help me. If I say something negative or something that whatever, just say these words to me. Is that what you want? So if you hear me saying, I hate this and I hate that, and just like, I don't have any money or whatever, I just want you to say, is that what you want? That's exercise. That particular having what's called a loving mirror around you has worked wonders for many people. Now, another thing that you can do in this sort of thing to cultivate it might be visualization. So to catch yourself degrading yourself. You know, you drop something, you might say, I'm such an idiot or whatever, and that's just cementing in the negative forces. How can you stop yourself there and go, that's not like me. I always handle things securely and well. And then imagine yourself being not clumsy, being dexterous and everything, and say, yeah, that's like me. They might be processes for you to help make some changes. Okay, so some good tips, but jot down some ideas there. Now, so going to Wallace Wattles here, The Science of Getting Rich, and we actually have a workshop planned on this that will deliver out over here through the Savvy Home Business community. But I wanted to share this with you, which is outdated from a visual point of view, but I think you'll get the picture. So, what Wattles said is that the desire you feel for riches, we could say for abundance, for change, or whatever, is the infinite seeking to express himself in you. Okay, so really saying that if you have this desire for more, this is universal forces working within you, wanting to grow. So you need not hesitate to ask largely. Your part is to focalize and express the desire to God. So what does he mean by focalize? Well, we could say that is to adjust and to bring it into focus, to sharpen, to concentrate. And that's what we're talking about here with the about face process. Get your eyes off what you don't want, focalize what you actually do want. So he shared an example at the end of this particular section. He said, I recall the case of one student who was told that he must get in his mind a clear picture of the things that he desired, so that the creative thought of them might be impressed upon formless substance. He was a very poor man, living in a rented home and having only what he earned from day to day. And he could not grasp the fact that all wealth was his. So after thinking the matter over, he decided that he might reasonably ask for a new rug for the floor of his best room and an anthracite coal stove to heat his house during the cold weather. Following the instructions, he obtained these things in just a few months. And then it dawned upon him that he had not asked for enough. He went through his house in which he lived, and he planned all of the improvements that he would make to it. He mentally added a window here and a room there until it was complete in his mind as his ideal home. And then he planned his furnishings. Holding the whole picture in his mind, he began living in the certain way, which is Wallace Wattles' method of, this whole science of getting rich. And you'll learn that as we go along. Moving towards what he wanted, and now he owns the house and is rebuilding it in the form of his mental image. And now, with a still larger faith, he is going to get greater things. It has been added unto him according to his faith, and it is so with you, and so with all of us. So, this is this same sort of thing that we can block ourselves by being so focused on what we don't want, rather than opening ourselves up and focalizing. Great word there, and focusing and visualizing and really getting clear about what we really do want. Now, you don't there's no getting it wrong. If you ask for what you want and you go, nah, that's not quite what I wanted, you can choose again. You don't have a set number of wishes. There's not like a genie in a bottle giving you 3 wishes, and if you get them all wrong, then you sorry, all over Red Rover. And so, you can get it wrong and still choose again, choose again, choose again, choose again. That's the great thing about this. To give you one example of that is that I set in my mind at one stage that I was going to buy a Jag, the motor car Jag. And I looked at all of the types. I went looking around and looked at all the different models and drove them all. I wanted more of the older style collectible type of model, and just got really, really visualizing about that and imagining that. And what I wrote down, or actually didn't write it down, the goal was to have a Jag, was all written down and all that sort of thing. But in my mind, I don't want a white one, I don't want a black vinyl roof, and I don't want the V12 version. Guess what I got? I ended up with a white, black vinyl roof and a V12, but it was a good deal. It was a deceased estate. It was in immaculate condition, and I still enjoyed it. But what I focalized were all of the things that I didn't want, and I received them. So how do you get your mind off what you don't want and start visualizing what you truly do want? Understanding that you can choose again. I still enjoyed that. And so, you move forward. There's no wrong answer in this. And so what we're also going to include is we're going to send you a link to a fun movie called Bedazzled. It's not the full movie, but it's a section that I'd love you to watch. And it's Bedazzled is a movie with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. Fun movie, and it's this particular section's really about making sure that you have clarity, that you have focalized what you want, because you don't want to get what you want like I did, but it's not quite what you want. You need to keep crafting that vision till it's exactly what you want. So take those 3 tasks on here in day number 2, and we'd love to know how you go. Please share your thoughts and insights with us. So that's it. All the best until day 3. So enjoy the journey.